Our coverage of high school basketball continues tonight here in Lucas as the Lucas Cubs host the Galion Tigers. Both teams looking for that first win of the 2020 season. We'll have our pregame and the opening tip coming up next.
I'm Josh with Scout Construction, proud sponsor of local teams and athletes. Check out your favorite local sports right here on the OH.Report.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cub Cave. I am Brian Harder along with Greg Collins, and we have got high school basketball here on a Tuesday night as the Galion Tigers are in town to take on the Lucas Cubs. Both teams looking for that elusive first win of the early season. And talk about, a lot of strange things that have gone on with COVID. This is only the second game of the season for Lucas. The beginning of their season was wiped out because of quarantine. Galion, though, they have played 4 games. They're 0-4, 0-3 in the MOAC. I'm joined by Greg Collins, who was a head basketball coach at Lexington, at Mansfield Senior. You won 2 state championships. You've been an assistant at the college level. You have seen a lot of basketball, but you probably have not seen things the way they have shaped up so far here in 2020.
Oh, my gosh. This is just a different year, and you're talking about players, you're talking about coaches that are just experiencing things that they never dreamed of. These coaches, what they have to put up with kids showing up a day, the next day maybe having to go into quarantine, with Galion, with injuries. It's just a different season, and you almost have to throw it out the door and just let the kids play this year.
Galion lost last weekend to Clear Fork 46-34. In his first action since being quarantined, Carter Kyneth scored 9 points. Jackson Oswald led the Tigers with 10. The Tigers only dressed 7 players because of injuries. 3 of them were starters. 1 of them is going to probably play tonight. That's Troy Mannering. But Reese Payne and Braden Eccles, they're out with ankle injuries. So Bobby Gosselin was up here talking to us, and he's basically trying to find warm bodies. He's going to dress a freshman. He's going to dress 8 guys tonight, and he's going up against a team like Lucas that likes to push tempo, and he's going to have his hands full tonight as a head coach.
Well, he is. And Carter Kyneth, who's going to start tonight, as you mentioned, is a person that's been on quarantine for, I think Bobby said, 26 out of the previous 30 days. So he does not have healthy legs right now. He does not have game shape. It's going to be different for him. He played the other night, had a great game, limited minutes. I'm sure tonight Bobby would like to see him get a few more minutes, but again, it's tough when you're just sitting at home and then coming out and trying to play a basketball game.
Lucas, they have got 1 game under their belt. They lost last week to Crestline on Friday night by a 52-42 score, and so they're still looking for that first win. They've got a little bit more size, and they have a lot more depth. but it's still going to be a challenge as both of these coaches really did not have the typical off season to get yourself ready condition-wise and just from a skill development-wise as you would normally in regular conditions.
Well, exactly. And you add to that all the youth that's out here on the court. You're talking freshmen and sophomores. That's a problem in itself.
We're going to pause now for the playing and singing of our national anthem. We are back here at the Cub Cave. Brian Harder, Greg Collins, just moments away from the opening tip-off between the Lucas Cubs and the Galion Tigers. Lucas 0-1. They are playing in the Mid-Buckeye Conference this year against the Galion Tigers. 0-4 overall, 0-3 in the MOAC. And we had a chance to talk to Bobby Gosselin before the game, his second year as the head coach here. Last year they only had 2 wins, so he is trying to get things going over at Galion. Doesn't have a lot of size on that roster, but he's trying to teach them by doing the little things right and developing them as players and as young men.
And as you mentioned before, not being able to have a summer, not being able to have a fall, much of a preseason, that took away a lot. You would like to, when you're building a program, you want as much time with those players as possible. And even though they had 1 year last year, a chance to get in the summer, get in the gym, do some skill development, get a chance to go out and scrimmage, play other teams. That's all taken away from them. And, you know, again, when you're playing with an inexperienced team, when you're playing with a team that's trying to replace the second all-time leading scorer in school history, you want to get as much time on the court together as possible, and that just wasn't possible this year.
And it's not even just from a skill standpoint. It's from a chemistry standpoint, and a lot of these guys just haven't played together long enough at the varsity level, at this pace and at this tempo.
And when you're talking about sophomores, juniors, and seniors, it's not like these kids maybe all hang out together, though we're not supposed to be hanging out much anyway with social distancing, but still kids, when the school year started, maybe they were in school together and maybe a little bit of team bonding there through football season. I'm sure some of them played football, whatever fall sport, cross-country, soccer, maybe some team bonding there, but not as a collective basketball team.
Now on the other side of that, you have Taylor Eisman, who is in his 6th year as the head coach of the Lucas Cubs. And what he has done with this program in the first 5 years is really nothing short of remarkable. He took over a team that had 7 wins. Or no, his first year they had 7 wins. The year before that, they only had 3. Then he went from 13 to 14 to 19. Was the 2019 Northwest District Coach of the Year. Last year, they're having arguably the best season in school history, 26-1, before the plug got pulled because of the coronavirus.
Right.
Who knows what could have happened last season?
Right, exactly. And this year they start off after they lose Riley Gossam, potential starter, potential player that could maybe be the leading scorer in school history. He's out for the season. So they've lost 85% of their scoring. A lot to replace.
And we will talk a lot about Riley Gossam as the game goes on. The first turnover as this young Galion squad coughs it up. Lucas, again, they like to apply a lot of pressure in the half court. See if they can do anything in the full court tonight against this undermanned Galion squad.
And talking with Bobby, that was his first concern. This game and in every game is handling the basketball, not having turnovers. The one positive about that turnover, it did not create an easy run out for the offensive team, for Lucas.
That's Jackson Oswald, who is running the offense. A 3 in the air and no good by Hudson Miller. Tried to follow his miss, and Lucas with an opportunity here. No score. We're just underway in the first quarter. That's Ethan Sauter in the lane. Lane Harper unable to convert on the offensive rebound, and Galion with another opportunity here. Bobby Gossam in his 2nd season of guiding the Galion Tigers. First basket of the ball game scored by Hudson Miller.
And a nice back screen by Andy Sparks. Andy set a great back screen there to get Hudson open. Nice pass to get the easy layup.
And I'll tell you what, you can talk about them being undermanned, undersized. Nice give and go there by Ethan Wallace at 12 against Crestline last Friday night. And Ethan with his first 2 points of the ball game.
And you saw a ball screen, which you see so much in basketball. A few years ago, you saw in the NBA, that's probably, 80, 90% of NBA basketball. It's trickled down to college, trickling down to high school. It's so difficult to defend on the ball screens.
Talked a lot about that pressure. Now Lucas going to go full court against the Tigers.
Did a great job denying Jackson Oswald there. You said he's the person they want the ball in his hands.
Baseline jumper no good by Hanif Donaldson. First bucket of the ball game for Logan Toms.
And again, Lucas the pressure right away. Galion wants to play a pack line defense. They want to put 4 players in the lane, 1 player guarding the ball, 4 players in the lane, and limit that offensive penetration. Lucas right away gets offensive penetration.
Wide open for 3. But a misfire by Ethan Wallace. And a turnover picked off by Sauter. Ethan Wallace, an outstanding product of the Lucas football program.
Offensively, Coach Gossam talked about running some motion. You can notice some down screens. You notice some back screens. We haven't seen much on the ball screens yet from Galion, but you're going to see a lot of people, should be 4 people moving around. Here's a flare screen right now, followed by a on-the-ball screen.
Lucas very sound in the half-court defensively. Ball goes out of bounds off the hands of Andy Sparks, so another turnover. Taylor Eisman preaches a lot of fundamentals, half-court pressure defense, full-court pressure defense. They will play with high energy and play very hard.
In the preseason, he talked about creating some offense with his defense, especially now when it's early in the year for his kids, trying to get some easy run-outs from causing turnovers. and that's a concern of Galion. Taking
Galion
care of
doing
the
a nice
basketball.
job in the half court.
And again, this is the pack line. One guy guarding the ball and 4 guys giving a lot of help.
Offensive rebound by Lane Harper, no good. Ball out of bounds. It goes to the Tigers. 4:26 to go in the opening quarter. Lucas with a slim 4-2 lead. Galion bringing 2 players off their bench. They only have 1 more that they will play. Troy Manring coming in. He had an ankle injury. He is now at least able to contribute. See how far he can go with that ankle. Caleb Brandstetter also in the lineup as well. They push it up the floor. Donaldson with the miss in transition. Nice penetration up and in by Sauter. Sauter now with 4.
And transition. A concern of Galion's was stopping Lucas' transition. That time Lucas able to get the ball out and go with it.
And a turnover by Manring.
And you can see Lucas's pressure, even though a lot of it's been in the full court, but even in here in the half court, as you mentioned, Brian, good pressure on the basketball, pushing Galion out a little bit further than they feel comfortable with, causing some turnovers. The objective here from Galion, keep penetration to a minimum.
Inside they go to Ethan Sauter. Gets his first 2 points of the ball game. And Lucas out to an 8-2 lead. Brian Harder, Greg Collins from Lucas High School. The Cubs and the Galion Tigers looking for their first win of the young season. You know, we talk about tempo, and teams think when teams come out and press that automatically they think about turnovers as to whether it's successful.
Right.
But it isn't just about that. It's
Exactly.
about creating tempo. It's about speeding a team up, making them take a shot that they would not normally take because they're so sped up. Yes, you're going to get turnovers, but it's about so much more than that.
Well, you're exactly right. And I think it was the second possession where Galion took a shot maybe on the second pass, and that's not what Galion wants. They want to be a little bit more patient in the half court, run some clock, make Lucas play defense, where Lucas does want to pressure and wants you to shoot quickly.
Here they come again with that pressure, but Galion does a nice job of getting the ball up the floor. That's Jackson Oswald, but then they force the turnover. Galion does a nice job sprinting back defensively. 3 in the air and in by Ethan Sauter. He now has 5, and the lead is up to 9.
And Ethan is a 4-year starter at point guard. It's nice to have, if you're going to have one guy returning, to me, a point guard is so valuable.
Also helps if that point guard is a guy that you can rely on for scoring. Turnover on a traveling violation. But he dictates everything at the offensive end of the floor.
Well, you're right, and it's nice that he is a scorer, but he's been, over his 3 years, he's the season and the career assist leader. He's someone who's been pass first. Now, because of their team, because they lost 85% of their scoring, Coach Eisman's asking him to look at the basket a little bit more, and as we see, he's very capable of doing it.
When you lose a Logan Nicewander and a Riley Gossam, and that's a big chunk of what you try to do offensively. Galion again plays so well in the half court defensively.
And Lucas, unlike Galion, who's trying defensively get out and pressure and maybe cause some turnovers and being successful at it, Galion wants to play that pack line again, what Virginia has made famous, what Dick Bennett for so many years made famous. Packing the lane, limiting dribble penetration, dribbling the ball inside. Unfortunately, at this time, Lucas is finding a way to getting the ball inside.
Logan Toms missed the first free throw, misses the second.
He's a 6'2 freshman, and we talked about it last week, how difficult that must be to go from 8th grade basketball to varsity. I know Logan and any freshman that's playing at this level has played AAU, so they've played against good competition. But still, right out here, varsity game, it's a big step up from 8th grade basketball.
There's Toms at the top of the circle. Ball tipped away. Troy Manring at the other end. And Manring with his first 2 points of the ball game.
And that always makes life easy. If you can cause a turnover and get a run out with it, boy, that makes life nice. And for a team like Galion, that's only averaging 35 points a game, they need some easy baskets.
Solid move with the left hand. Again, that's Sauter. He leads all scorers with 7. And were they able to get the timeout in, or is that a violation?
Another 5 count, or a 5 count. But right now I have Galion for 7 turnovers.
Tom spins in the lane. They're getting some good looks. And the freshman a little frustrated with himself. He had a golden opportunity there about 5 feet from the basket. Couldn't convert, but Lucas will keep the ball out of bounds under their own basket. Toms again. Sauter, 3 in the air, and it's good. Sauter with his second 3, and the lead is now up to 12.
And a nice inside-out pass by Toms. Ball goes into the posts. When the ball goes inside, defenses are going to collapse. Threw it back out for a good look.
Galion able to retain possession. Kyneth with a 3 in the air that doesn't go, and we've got a foul on the rebound. Foul's going to be on Hanif Donaldson. That'll be his first. Andy Sparks now back in. Sparks had 10 rebounds against Clear Fork last Friday night.
5 of those being offensive. And we're talking a Clear Fork team that has good size.
Toms has it stripped away. And this one's going to go off of Lucas. Well, Dennis Rodman was the prime example of you don't have to have great size to be a great rebounder. It's about anticipation and positioning.
Exactly. Want the basketball, you're exactly right. Dennis Rodman was outstanding at it.
He was listed at 6'6", but which probably meant he was 6'4". 3 in the air by Oswald, doesn't go. Backside rebound comes down to Sauter. Toms with a nice fake and a runner that doesn't go. Little spin in the lane, up and in by Ethan Wallace. And that'll do it for the first quarter. Lucas with 18 in the opening quarter. They're up by 14. You're watching high school basketball live and free exclusively on the OH.Report.
Hi, I'm Josh with Scout Construction, proud sponsor of local teams and athletes. Check out your favorite local sports right here on the OH.Report.
Ethan Sauter with 10 points in the first quarter, and the Lucas Cubs with an 18-4 lead as we start the second.
And right away you can see the pressure that Lucas is putting on the perimeter.
Little elbow jumper doesn't go by Kyneth. The three in the air, and Andrew Smolin just into the ball game for the Cubs. Can't get it to go, but a nice left-handed move by Ethan Sauter, who now leads all scores with 12. Now the Cubs really cranking up the defensive pressure, but they can't convert. And a 30-second timeout is going to be taken by the Galion Tigers. Brian Harder, Greg Collins from the Cub Cave here in Lucas. 20-4 in favor of the Lucas Cubs.
And Coach Gossam didn't like the way that quarter started. Again, there's only so much you can do, but you know that pressure is going to come from Lucas. You know that you want your team to show some patience, get a good shot each time down. I think the last time down they did get a good shot, but there have just been too few of those tonight.
And if you're Taylor Eisman, you really have to like what you're seeing here in this second game of the season. Talking with Taylor before the ball game, and he said the offseason, and we've heard this from a lot of coaches, the offseason just really was non-existent, and especially with their COVID situation down here, they suspended a lot of things, and they just were not able to get any time on the floor with these guys. And he has a few more upperclassmen than does Bobby Gossam, but they've also had to deal with the devastating injury to Riley Gossam, and we'll get more into that here in a minute.
This is going to be an important 2 or 3 minutes for Galion right here. If they can create some good shots, they're running their motion. Can they get something close to the basket?
Ball tipped away, but Galion will retain possession. Skip it over to Manring, who misfires from just inside the three-point line, and here come the Cubs once again. Inside to Smolin, who didn't get a strong take at the basket. Manring tried to throw it over to Andy Sparks, but another turnover by the Tigers. Short jumper up and in by Corbin Toms. His first bucket of the ball game.
And quickly right back into their pressure.
And another turnover.
And another turnover. When you're Lucas, you're going to have to expect some turnovers. When you're going to transition, they love to get out and run. They do handle the ball pretty well. Again, though, as you said, with limited time to prepare, to practice, you're going to have to live with some turnovers.
Ethan Sauter, the 5'10 senior, runs the show.
Looks like Galion now has gone a little bit of zone, which is a good idea. Lucas was doing a great job of getting the ball close to the basket, getting some good looks as they do against the zone.
Andrew Finello misfires from inside the paint. Skip it over to Manring. Nice look. But a tough shot taken by Sparks doesn't go. Another offensive rebound that they can't convert. But the Tigers keep the ball alive. And Sauter with a turnover and a layup.
That's turnover number 10, and that one does develop into an easy basket.
Well, you will notice all of these Cubs get up in your face, and they love to pressure the basketball.
They're playing hard with great effort, and I think early on they saw that their pressure was going to have a big effect on Galion, and that just gives you confidence to want to get up and give more pressure. What Galion needs, what they would love to have, is break this pressure, get a couple of easy baskets, maybe get Lucas to relax a little bit on their defense. But we just haven't seen it late.
That might be the biggest stamp that Taylor Eisman has put on this program. They are going to come out every night. They are not going to be out-hustled. They will be prepared, and they will play hard. As you see a nice elbow jumper by Hudson Miller, excuse me.
And Hudson did a good job coming off a flare screen, receiving the pass, and then against the closeout, beating it on the dribble for a jumper.
Finello answers with a 3.
And that's what's a dagger. When you score and the other team comes down and quickly scores, gets a turnover.
Lester misfires. Another offensive rebound, and now the Cubs just pounding the offensive glass. And the hands active on the inside. Off-balance shot up and in by Andrew Finello. So Finello off the bench now with 5. And this is the tempo, and this is the game that the Cubs want to play.
It is. And you look at their Crestline game last week. In the fourth quarter alone, they scored 21 points. The first 3 quarters, they scored 21 combined. So where they left off on, Friday night, Saturday night, they're taking up right now.
And they see a team, especially with the limitations that Bobby Gossam has to his roster, and they want to get out and they want to get on top of this team early.
Well, you do, especially when you have a team that, again, because of the limited time on the court, you don't know what kind of conditioning they have. Can Lucas keep this tempo up the entire game? Well, I know Coach wants to as long as possible, but build that lead as much as possible to where maybe you don't need it in the second half. Again, Galion back to the zone, trying to limit the entries into the post, and Lucas does a great job with a high-low.
Ethan Wallace draws the foul. Wallace will go to the line with 6.
I've really been impressed with number 1, Lucas, how unselfish their players are. They're willing to give the basketball up. They're very good passers. And number 2, how they look for the pass. They know if they cut, if they come off a back screen, if they're open, their teammates are going to find them.
First free throw make of the ball game for Lucas. They're 1 for 4 from the stripe tonight. That might be the only thing that has gone wrong for the Cubs. There you see the hustle. Those are the plays right there that don't show up in the box score. Logan Toms, the freshman, getting down on the floor. And the Cubs with the basketball under their own basket.
Yeah, that's a coach's son right there. You would like to see your freshmen, your sophomores out on the court, getting on the floor for loose balls, and certainly he did it.
Corbin Toms with the 3 in the air that didn't go. The follow-up bounces around for Ethan Wallace and drops. Well, and that's why, as a freshman, he is playing the minutes he is and the role that he is because of that effort.
And he's a very good player. I don't believe he scored the other night against Crestline, but he's going to be a scorer for the Lucas Cubs.
3 in the air, doesn't go. And here come the Cubs again in transition. Off balance shot doesn't go by Smolin. And Galion wants to slow it down and walk up the floor.
A lot of flare screens going on from Galion. Lucas done a great job of getting out on the flare screens, only giving up maybe 1 or 2 perimeter shots.
They've tried that skip pass a lot, and it's just not very accurate. That one goes out of bounds, and Lucas with a 32-6 lead, a couple of minutes to go here in the first half. Jackson Oswald getting ready to come back into the ball game for the Tigers. Inside to Smolin. They swing it over to Toms. Now he'll launch the 3. Tie up as Andy Sparks in there trying to fight for the rebound. Of course, we talked about Logan Neiswander graduating as the school's all-time leading scorer, and right behind him on the scorers list was Riley Gossam, who averaged 21 points a game last year. He was set to become the school's all-time leading scorer this year until he suffered a very serious leg injury in an auto accident in October. He is expected to make a full recovery. Taylor Eisman told me before the ballgame he wants to play this year, but that still is in question. 3 in the air and good.
By the freshman.
Cooper Kent.
If there is anybody that could come back from that injury and could play, it would be Riley Gossam. And I use this as a compliment. He's a gym rat. He grew up in the gym. Of course, his father coaching Galion here, Bobby. His stepdad coaching over here at Lucas. He is a gym rat, so if there's anybody that can overcome this injury and get back, it would be Riley Gossam.
I saw him over during the JV game with the therapy bands, and he is doing the work. He's doing everything he can to try to get himself ready. He even has, and he still has schools recruiting him to play basketball collegiately next year. Schools like Marietta and Bluffton, Heidelberg.
Right.
We're going to get an opportunity to talk to him at halftime, and they are taping something on the floor. I don't know if that lid was popping up, or hopefully the tape takes care of it.
I hope so. Especially
the last thing we need is an injury because of that.
Well, Galion already has, three kids with ankle injuries, one back tonight. They can't afford any more.
If Bobby Gossam gets one more injury, especially if it's an ankle, ball goes out of bounds. It's going to stay at this end of the floor. No, it's going to go to Lucas. And a turnover, an unforced error. We'll give the ball back to the Tigers. And there's another unforced error, and able to convert is Corbin Toms. Toms now with 4. And the kick out intended for Hudson Miller goes out of bounds.
And still, Lucas just speeding Galion up more than their comfort level can take. But I think if you get the ball, if you break the free throw line with the dribble, you got to be thinking shot. You got to be thinking of getting that ball up on the rim.
Sauter launches a 3, his third 3 of the night. And Lucas already, offensively, they have done more here tonight. As you see the foul called on Ty Lenhart.
And Ethan Sauter's thinking, hey, I've been an assist man for 3 years. Now's my time. Now's my time to shine. And he's shooting the ball well.
Cubs are 2 points away from their offensive output for the entire game last week. And they're going to get an opportunity to get that here before halftime.
Well, Cooper Kent is struggling a little bit. Again, a freshman, and I believe, Bob, didn't Coach Gossam say this is his first game that he's dressing?
Yes.
Again, even though he's played some JV, it's difficult for this transition.
Lucas patient, working for that last shot. Left-handed layup attempt, no good by Wallace, but an offensive rebound. There's Sauter for 3, and that'll be the last bucket before halftime. The Cubs 41-9 over the Galion Tigers at the intermission. You're watching high school basketball live and free exclusively on the OH.Report.
Hi, I'm Josh with Scout Construction, proud sponsor of local teams and athletes. Check out your favorite local sports right here on the OH.Report.
You're watching high school basketball live and free exclusively on the OH.Report. We are the future of local sports. Now back to your game.
It's halftime here at the Cub Cave. Lucas with an explosive first two quarters, 43-9. They have already exceeded their offensive output that they had last Friday night. They scored 42 points for the game, so Taylor Eisman has to be very happy. As we take a look at the halftime numbers, not a lot of surprises there. Galion with only 3 field goals to Lucas's 12. Lucas also got hot from behind the three-point line, connecting on 6 three-pointers. The rebounding edge, though, 13-1, and we don't have this stat on the board, but they've also forced 17 Galion turnovers.
And that's big. And some of those turnovers have developed into easy baskets for Lucas, but it was a concern coming in for Galion, and it's still a concern right now.
For Lucas, big half for Ethan Sauter. He had 10 points in the first quarter, 10 points in the second. You talk about efficiency. But he's also gotten a lot of help from some other people. They have spread the ball around very well. Ethan Wallace had 8 points. Logan Toms had 5. They were also able to get scoring from Corbin Toms and Andrew Finello off the bench. So Taylor Eisman, although he's got the big first half from Ethan Wallace, he's getting contributions from other people.
He is. And when you look at the two teams out here, and you tell me if you see it any differently, the Lucas kids look a little bit thicker. Even though some of them are freshmen. You look at a freshman like Logan Toms, he still looks like a very mature freshman. Obviously, he handles the ball very well. They're just thicker, and they're taking advantage of their strength, of their quickness, of their hustle, and causing turnovers.
Well, a guy like Ethan Wallace we talked about was on the football team, so they have a lot of carryover from that football program, so that gives them a little bit more beef inside, a little bit more of a physicality, and that plays into what they want to do with that toughness, that mental toughness that they want. They want to bring that football mentality on the basketball floor.
Right. They must have a very good weight program here, and the kids take advantage of it. It's one thing to have a strength program. It's another thing for the kids to take advantage of it, and these kids from Lucas obviously do.
We're going to take a timeout. We come back. We're going to have a very special guest. We're going to talk to Riley Gossam. You're watching high school basketball live and free exclusively on the OH.Report.
Hi, I'm Josh with Scout Construction, proud sponsor of local teams and athletes. Check out your favorite local sports right here on the OH.Report.
We are back here at Lucas High School at halftime. The Cubs with a 43-9 win. We're joined by Riley Gossam, who is a senior, and I know you're probably thinking, I would love to be part of this 43-9 first half that your Cubs are enjoying against the Galion Tigers, but you unfortunately were in an auto accident back in October. You had a very serious leg injury. There was even question as to whether you would play again. Tell us where you are in your development physically and how things are going with your therapy and all of that.
It's going pretty good right now. I go see the surgeon again Friday. I haven't started physical therapy yet, but yeah, I got to go see him Friday. But it's all just everything's actually working out really well. They didn't know how much nerve damage I'd have, how much I'd be able to do at this point. I've got basically full feeling back. I almost used my leg back to normal, so it's actually going about as well as it could right now. So
if you could take that and just put it a little closer to your mouth there. Everybody can hear what you have to say. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's going really good right now. The last time I went and saw him, he said everything's healing right, on the right track. So, right now my goal is kind of getting everything back to normal and hopefully by the end of the season be able to play at some point. So
now, I know you don't know this about me, but I used to coach down here. In fact, I was Coach Eisman's coach in the 8th grade. So I'm not going to tell you any stories about him, but the reason I bring that up is I know what this community is about, and I know that they rally around situations like this, and you probably feel that every single day.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The amount of support I've had from everybody in the community, just Richland County, the whole surrounding area. Coach Eisman had a ton of coaches from other schools contacting him after it happened, asking him how I was doing, stuff like that. So not only the Lucas community itself, but just everybody in the surrounding area and other coaches that I know that he knows, and it's been phenomenal.
As you look back on that day, and a lot of people who go through something like that, you try to bring something positive from it. What can you take from an experience like that you can carry with you for the rest of your life?
Definitely just being appreciative of what you have. Not only just everything you have in life, but just life itself. I mean, you never know when anything can happen at any time, and it's definitely not something that I was expecting or anybody else. But, there's nothing we can do about it now other than just move on and just be appreciative for what you have.
It still, though, has to be a little frustrating. This is your senior season. You want to be out there with your teammates. You want to be taking part in this. But from what I understand, you don't believe your basketball career is over. And, in fact, you want to play this year.
Yeah, that's my goal. I don't know how realistic it is right now, but even after high school, I'm blessed. I've still had college coaches contacting me, still wanting me to come play for them. So even if I don't get to play this year, next year and next 4 years, hopefully in my college career, I'll be able to play. But yeah, my goal is still come back this year. Hopefully by senior night, middle of February is what I'm hoping. If not, I'm hoping at least tournaments. That's the most important time of the season. So
now the colleges that were looking at you before this, they're still recruiting you, correct?
Yeah. So I've been in contact with like 6 or 7 of them. All of them even reached out when I was in the hospital. Still checking on me, seeing how I was doing, and making sure I know that I'm still wanted there and they still want me to come play for them. And that's definitely been the biggest thing that I'm grateful for, is just to still have that. That
has to be a special feeling for you, knowing that they are still invested in you and see an opportunity for you, not just as a basketball player, but as a student athlete going forward, that you can continue your education.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably the biggest thing for me, is just, the best thing about this whole recruiting process for me has been building the relationships with all these coaches and, getting to talk to them multiple times a week, having them call me, going on visits, meeting all these new people. It's just building these relationships that has been phenomenal for me, and I'm still grateful that they all are still interested.
There you see a layup by Ethan Sauter, who now has 24 points. Jeez. Did you see this kind of offense out of Ethan?
I've been telling him he needs to shoot the ball more. I've been telling him this ever since, even before everything with me happened. He's got to be able to score for us. I mean, that's just this year we're more of a score by committee. We don't have 1 or 2 or 3 guys that are going to come out and score consistently for us every night. So it's just got to be everybody. But I've been telling him he needs to just play with confidence. I mean, everybody can see what he's doing right now, and this is what I've been playing it with him since 6, 7 years old, and so I've been seeing this ever since then. And so he just needs this confidence every night.
Well, when you're playing behind guys like you and Logan Nicewander for the last couple of years, it's really you kind of have to pick your spots and you understand where the offense goes. And you guys obviously had a lot of success scoring the basketball. But, yes, we are seeing that he does have that ability to put the ball in the basket when he needs to.
Yeah, that's the thing people didn't understand about last year's team. What made us so good is everybody could do everything. Everybody could score. Everybody could defend. Everybody could rebound. Everybody could pass. I mean, we were so well-rounded in everything that is what – I mean, there's a reason we only lost 1 game, and there's reasons we beat teams like Ontario who are bigger and really, really successful. There's reasons we made it to regional finals, and people don't understand that, even if there's people not scoring, they're still doing other things to contribute for us that help us win, and that was definitely the special thing about us last year is we were able to do everything.
Now, as you look back on the end of last season in the regional tournament, you guys win in the semifinals. You're about to face Richmond Heights, and then they pull the plug. What was that like for you guys? That it had to be a dagger knowing that your season was just all of a sudden over.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was awful. I was actually at home when it happened. I was home for lunch or from school or whatever. And I saw stuff all over Twitter. So before even Coach Eisman was telling all of us, I kind of saw on Twitter Jake Furr, all the media guys kind of putting it out there, and it was definitely tough. And then practice that day was rough because we all showed up not knowing what was going to happen, whether we were going to get to play. Everything was just kind of like everybody's kind of confused on like what do we do? The day before we were supposed to go play biggest basketball game of the season, and we don't know what to do at practice just because of everything that was going on. But yeah, it was. I think all of us kind of knew we weren't going to get to play at that point, even though they suspended it. I think all of us kind of knew deep down that it was probably not going to happen. So
now we've talked to coaches about this, and I'm interested to hear a player's side of this. What is the mindset today, knowing that we could have a game canceled this coming Friday? How do you guys approach it on the day-to-day now?
It's just taking it one day at a time. I mean, we actually got a call Friday afternoon at like 2 o'clock that 3 or 4 kids on the team were going to have to be quarantined because of contact tracing because someone else tested positive. So there we are 4 hours before a game having to call kids and, say, you can't play tonight or whatever. And so it's taking it one day at a time and just, like I said before, just being appreciative of what you have because you never know when, it could be your last game or anything. So.
Well, Riley, your story is really incredible, and I know that it's not over. So just good luck as you head through your senior season. Good luck with all of the medical things and as you get into therapy. And I just I hope things are to continue for you next year at the collegiate level.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's Riley Gossam, a senior here at the Lucas in the Cub Cave as he's watching his Cubs with a 55-13 lead over the Galion Tigers. So if you can just give your headset back to Coach Collins there, we'll squeeze him back in, let him earn his paycheck. Thanks a lot, Riley.
Thanks, Riley.
Well, the Cubs picking up where they left off, and so does that young man right there. Another 3. And Ethan Sauter now 58-13, and I don't know how much of that you could hear, but Riley is just, to me, a remarkable young man, and just he took out of this whole thing that you just really have to appreciate things one day at a time.
Yeah, I did. I heard a lot of it, and I thought it was a great interview. He is a special person, but it shouldn't surprise you if you know, and I've had a chance to meet his mother. I know his father very well, the coach at Galion. I know his stepfather, the assistant coach over here at Lucas. He's got a tremendous support staff around him, support people around him. And when you have a great family like that, you're going to raise a great kid. And they've done a great job with Riley. And, what he's had to overcome and how he's doing it is just remarkable to me.
Well, and one thing that I told him, and my my knowledge of all this. I used to coach down here at Lucas for 3 years, and
Right.
I know how this community is.
Mm-hmm.
I know how this school is. I know how the fans and the parents and everybody, they rally around people and they support their kids and everybody else's kids in this community. And he just, as soon as I said that, his eyes lit. He's like, yeah, I feel that every day. And he feels that support, not just from his family, but his extended family here in this community.
And just imagine how much more that would be if we didn't have to social distance.
Oh. Galion still struggling to get offense going here in the third quarter. 3 in the air and no good by Hudson Miller.
If you're Bobby Gossam, if you're Galion now, you're not going to come back from this. But you want your kids to play with great effort, great intensity, learn a few things.
Logan Toms with another bucket. And that pushes the Cubs to the 60-point mark with 2:40 to go here in the third quarter. But we've all been in situations like this. If you've coached long enough, you've been in both sides of games like this, and you're right. You look for effort, you look for attitude, you look for body language, and you try to build around these things, and you don't want to make excuses.
And if you're Lucas, you're in a tough situation because you want your kids to still play hard. You don't want them just to sit back, but you also don't want to run up the score. You don't want to make the other guy look bad.
Logan Toms with a 3, and we're seeing a little bit more of that offense that we talked about from him. Again, only a freshman. Throw it inside, and you see perhaps a little bit of the frustration there by Caleb Brandstetter. And I'll tell you what, as a coach, I want to see that. I want to see guys that care, and I want to see guys that are willing to get in there and still continue to fight, even though the score is what it is.
And I've seen Caleb play AAU, and that is Caleb. He's going to play hard. I don't think he cares what the score is. He's going to give a great effort.
Marcus Lester with the block on the inbounds play. And the Cubs push it the other way. Riley was telling me also about he's not surprised at the offensive output by Ethan Sauter. He said he has seen this in him for years, but then he also understands, he's also playing with guys like Logan Nicewander and Riley himself over the last couple of years. And now it's Ethan Sauter's time offensively, and he's answering the bell here tonight.
And I'm not sure your opinion, Brian, but to me, the point guard is the most important position on the court. And for him to be the career, the season assist leader here at Lucas High School, and now to come out as a scorer, shows me that he could have been a scorer, helped those guys the last couple of years, maybe shot the ball more, but he's so unselfish. He did his role. He got the ball to the open shooters.
Turnover as Troy Mannering heads the other way, but Lucas again with a nice job of getting back defensively. Mannering pulls up just inside the three-point line. But that's what Coach Eisman has pounded into these kids. We are going to be unselfish. We are going to play hard. We're not going to be concerned about our offensive numbers. And it has turned into success. 26 wins last year.
And you take away, you can't do it in a game. But, again, those first 3 quarters at Crestline, they struggle. That fourth quarter, they scored 21, and they come out tonight scoring at each quarter.
Marcus Lester with his first bucket of the ball game. There are now 6 players in the scoring column for the Cubs. As we get under now 10 seconds to go in the third quarter. 3 in the air, up and in by the freshman, Cooper Kent.
He's made a couple of big shots tonight.
That'll do it. The Cubs continue to dominate as we head to the fourth quarter, 65-18. You're watching high school basketball live and free exclusively on the OH.Report.
Hi, I'm Josh with Scout Construction, proud sponsor of local teams and athletes. Check out your favorite local sports right here on the OH.Report.
Wholesale substitutions for the Lucas Cubs as we start the fourth quarter. 65-18. Ethan Sauter with 27.
And Coach Heisman's in a tough situation because he wants, he's got a big lead. He doesn't want to rub it in, but he wants to get his players in better shape. I mean, it's early for them. They have to get some time on the court.
Well, and this is part of that development that they did not get in the offseason.
Exactly.
Whether it's from a playing standpoint or even a conditioning standpoint. I mean, there's only so much you can do virtually, and even if you're just out running on your own, it's not the same as running sprints against your teammates. 3 in the air. Misfired by Marcus Lester.
And every sport is so specific. You can be in shape for cross country, but that's different than basketball where you're stopping and turning and running. Every sport is specific.
And I guess to me, the biggest thing with basketball is pace. I mean, you can go into an open gym even, and you're not going to play at the pace that you play against live competition. So that's why scrimmages are so important, and getting against other teams to get that adrenaline going and to get the juices flowing. And you don't get that if you don't have your regular off season.
And most of the time we say when there's people in the crowd because there's always going to be some game slippage. Well, there isn't people in the crowd now except for a few players, JV players, but there's still going to be some slippage.
That's one of the things that I heard from NFL players as they talked about the lack of a home field advantage because they don't have that energy coming from the fans in the stands. Maybe that's why the Browns are 9-4. I don't know.
You're telling me the dog pound is not good? As a Browns fan, I wish we had the dog pound last night against Bowman.
Oh my goodness.
I think they'd have been raring on a Monday night, raring to go.
That is a whole other level of frustration. Three in the air, short. Another offensive rebound. This one doesn't go, and it's going to go towards Galion. So the Cubs are going to get that first win. And Galion, hopefully they can get their other two starters back so they can kind of really get an idea of what this team can be. Now the upside to that is you're getting some guys that are getting some valuable minutes. And a 3 in the air, the third of the night for the freshman.
And that's big. I mean, that's got to help his confidence. He came off a cross screen, caught the ball in the corner, and didn't hesitate.
I mean, that might be the only saving grace in a situation like this for Bobby Gossam is he's getting some guys that would not normally be playing, and he's getting them some valuable experience. And you never know. You might find a Cooper Kent in there that can come out and give you some valuable minutes.
Well, you're talking about a guy that played a little bit in the JV game tonight, and I have a feeling that he might not be playing much JV after this.
Got to look in for the Cardington-Northmore game. Northmore, we saw them last week, and they're down by 8 with 2:17 to go in the fourth quarter.
Wasn't Cardington picked as one of the teams to beat in the conference?
They were, yes.
And I think they were co-champs with Northmore last year.
Right.
Correct?
Or no, that was Centerburg.
Oh, is it Centerburg? Okay.
Making it an 8-point ball game once again. There in the Castle. We were there last week. So we've gone from the Castle to the Cub Cave. 5:17 to go in this one.
Well, the question is, what can both teams get out of this? Well, obviously, if you're Lucas, maybe some players that aren't going to get a lot of minutes, wouldn't typically get a lot of minutes, are going to get some minutes right now and show what they can do. If you're Galion, you can always get something out of every situation. You're going to see how hard the kids are going to play when things are against them right here. Who's going to give a great effort? Who's going to go after the loose ball? Who's going to dive for the loose basketball? You can run your sets.
Andrew Smolin with a 3, 5'10" sophomore, as the Cubs now get to 70-21. Next up for the Lucas Cubs, and again, this is if the schedule holds, they will host St. Peter's this coming Friday. And then for Galion, they host Ontario on December 22nd as they head into the Christmas break, so it doesn't get any easier for the Tigers.
They have had a difficult opening schedule. When you talked about opening up with Upper Sandusky, a team that was in the regionals themselves last year, then going to River Valley, a team that's picked to be at the top of the conference, Marion Harding, a good-sized school, very athletic, Clear Fork, who's got good size, and then tonight Lucas, and then Ontario. They need to find a give-me in there somewhere.
Yes. But you know what? You have to go out, you play the games in front of you, and that's what you tell your kids. They're not going to back down. I get the impression talking to Bobby Gossam, he's not about excuses or quitting or making, COVID injuries, whatever. This is all part of coaching.
And you're going to find which kids are competitive, which kids want to take the challenge.
Smolin at the top of the circle. Try to get it to him backside, but the pass goes out of bounds.
Lucas does a nice job with back screens. They do a nice job passing the basketball. Of course, Galion is back in their pack line. But Lucas does a great job with coming up and setting some back screens and looking for that man going to the hoop.
As we look ahead on the basketball schedule for us, we are going to go to Upper Sandusky on Friday night and get our first look at the Rams as they host the gym that John Diebler built.
Exactly. Keith Diebler, the coach, and I believe one state championship and a semifinals. Is that right?
That sounds about right. Tell you what, maybe the best high school basketball game I ever saw was in the district tournament over in Ashland as John Diebler and Jimmy Langston, the Willard Crimson Flashes, went head-to-head. And it was a matchup for the ages.
Two very good players ended up playing college basketball.
Excuse me.
Yeah, Jimmy Langhurst had a great career.
John Diebler was okay too.
Yeah. John did okay at Ohio State. And his brother now is an assistant coach down at Ohio State.
Now we're going to do something here that you will never see anywhere else except on the OH.Report. You're going to look in on 3 other games that are going on right now. You don't have your glasses on.
No, I don't, but it looks like one that's pretty much like our game down there. Is that Crestview against Bucyrus?
68-25. And then East Knox taking on the Trojans, and they're down 44-30. Of course, we saw East Knox and their football program last year.
Now, we were fortunate last week to have a game that came down to the wire, came down to the last shot.
I don't think we're going to have that problem tonight.
I don't think any of us are. Any of the OH.Report games are.
Ball knocked out of bounds by Andrew Finello.
Even after a win, it's tough to unwind as a coach. You're thinking about that game. You're thinking about the games coming up. But when you're getting beat this badly, it's really tough to get a good night's sleep. Hanif
Donaldson with the layup. I had the opportunity and the privilege to coach Taylor Eisman when he was an 8th grader. And he had a lot of the characteristics as a player, even at that age, that he does now as a head coach. He played extremely hard. He played smart. Was a very fundamental guy. He was the guy that you really love to coach because he just soaked everything in like a sponge. And he told me, he probably paid me the biggest compliment a few weeks ago, and he told me that a lot of the things that he has done, he learned at that level when he was a player, and then came up and played for Todd Krill. And we had, back in that time, Lucas could not get past Worthington Christian in the regional tournament. But it was a lot of fun coaching down here then, coaching guys like Taylor and Kyle Deck and Zach Canfield. And
a lot of people don't realize how important that junior high system is. Having good 7th, 8th, 9th grade coaches is so important. Obviously, the head coach of the varsity team is not going to be able to be at every practice or at any practices, maybe for the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. So those coaches are on their own, and they're responsible to keep the kids excited, keep the kids energized, wanting to keep coming back to practice, as well as teaching the fundamentals, as well as teaching the concepts that the varsity runs.
Well, Taylor was the kind of kid, and his dad was my assistant. So that was a dynamic that was also at times a challenge for Taylor because, your dad, sometimes can push you a little harder than some of the other coaches. And there was a time I had to remind both of them that, you know what, when he's on the floor, he's a player and he's not your son. And that goes, both ways. But both of them handled it extremely well. I have a lot of respect for his father, Gary, and obviously Taylor was just a joy to coach, and I'm really glad to see that he's having the success now as a head coach that he has brought to this program, because if anyone deserves it, it's that young man down there.
Now that's good to hear. Now, through the years, I've heard the Iceman name a bunch. I don't know if it's cousins, brothers.
I think the Icemans have blood in every street in this town. A lot of outstanding athletes coming through that family. We've got a final 72-28. The Cubs get their first win of the season. We'll be back to wrap it up after this. You're watching high school basketball live and free exclusively on the OH.Report.
Hi, I'm Josh with Scout Construction, proud sponsor of local teams and athletes. Check out your favorite local sports right here on the OH.Report.
You're watching high school basketball live and free exclusively on the OH.Report. We are the future of local sports. Now back to your game.
We are back here at the Cub Cave as Lucas looks impressive at their first win of the season, 72-28 over the Galion Tigers, and the stats are going to be just as lopsided as the score.
Well, they are, and the stats that we're showing doesn't even show the turnovers, and that's probably the worst stat at all if you're a Galion fan. If you're a Lucas fan, your team was able to create a lot of turnovers with their pressure defense. It didn't look to me tonight like it was a team that had limited practices, limited time together. If from the Lucas Cubs, they came out and played hard from the get-go.
Ethan Sauter, of course, with an outstanding night, 31 points. He is our player of the game. We're going to get him up here and try to talk to him. And as you see him making his way up here now, got his mask on and everything as we're doing everything correctly here. Well, Ethan, congratulations on your first win of the season, and this had to be you finally got that first win out of the way. And how did it feel being able to contribute offensively the way that you did?
I mean, it's something that I worked hard for because Riley, he unfortunate situation he was in. It's a lot of practice, it's a lot of hard work, and you got to get in the shots. You gotta give it all you got in practice, and that's what I tried to do this week because of the loss last week. So, well, we
talked to Riley during the ball game, and he was able to give us some insight. And playing behind a guy like, well, not really behind that's the wrong word to use. Playing with a guy like him and Logan Nicewander, and they're the scorers, and you're asked to really lead the offense and kind of be the distributor, and of course your assist totals speak for themselves. Has Coach Eisman asked you to really change your mindset this year and look to be more involved offensively?
Throughout these years, my first 3 years, it was a lot of you need to shoot more. But I mean, I could rely on people like Logan and Riley to be there and make those shots. And this year he has asked me to shoot more, and I mean the community is just like, you got to shoot more. You lost 40 points a game. You got to start scoring. So I try to step up scoring a little bit, and I guess that's what I did today.
So what is the mindset of this team? And I asked Riley this, and I'll ask you, because we've talked to the coaches, and the uncertainty with everything with COVID, and you don't know when games are going to be canceled. This is only your second game of the year. Mm-hmm. What is the mindset of you guys as players as you go through practice? Do you just try to block all that out and just take it a day at a time? Or is it something that you guys, think about and talk about?
That's something we talk about. I mean, it's always in the back of your mind. There's no way you're going to get around it just because of these times. And, I mean, we just got to come every day and work hard, and that's what we did this week.
Now, you guys, as I said, this is your first win of the season. Do you feel that, especially the way that you guys played at both ends of the floor, is this something that you can kind of jumpstart you as you head into your game with St. Pete's Friday?
Yeah, we preach my first 2 years, freshman, sophomore. We preached effort, hard work, all that, because that's what we had to do as Lucas. And last year we had a lot of skill, and we kind of got away from that. But this year he's really preaching it again. So yeah, we come to practice and we got to work hard, and he's preaching that every day.
Well, we're going to get a second interview here. I'm going to throw everybody off balance. We're going to get Taylor Eisman in here and if you could switch seats with him, and we're going to get some thoughts from the head coach of the Lucas Cubs, Taylor Eisman. First of all, Taylor, congratulations on getting that first win of the season. What were you thinking as you guys came into this game, knowing that offense had been a struggle for you in your first game?
Yeah, we just we weren't satisfied with our effort the other night. It was going to be a different team this year with not having the guys that we had and then losing Riley. So we knew we were going to have to score the ball differently, and so much of that was going to have to be off of our just effort and defense, and we just didn't have it the other night. And I told the kids, I'm fine with losing. You can get beat any night, but we should never get outworked. And tonight we showed up. the kids, we played defense. I told them at halftime, we scored 42 points the other night, and we had 43 at halftime tonight. And I told them I didn't care. We gave up 9 points in the first half. We could have not scored a bucket, and it would have been 9-0, and we'd have been in the game. So, when you play defense like that, you're giving yourself a chance. And then Ethan Sauter, he's had that capability in him, ever since he's been a freshman. And we didn't need him to do that in years past, but that capability's always been there. I've seen him in summer league games do this all the time. And he put a lot of pressure on him, the first night out with, no Riley. And it was just such a struggle offensively. So to bounce back like we did tonight and just see everybody enjoying themselves, having fun, being excited for Ethan. Like I say, it's a different atmosphere. Our kids did good cheering for each other and just kind of playing off that energy. But I feel so much better. It was a rough weekend, and like I said, I didn't like the way we played. That's just not how we usually play, because the effort wasn't there, and that was a lot more like it. And then I told him, I said, that's a step in the right direction. That's something we can build upon there.
This is the first time I've ever been to a game in this gym where it's been so quiet that you could just hear a pin drop. Mm-hmm. But I know from my own experience that this place, and especially with the teams that you have put on the floor in the last several years, this team gets behind their kids. They get behind their sports teams. And because of my history with you, I am very proud of what you have done with this program over the last 5+ years now. And you have really put your stamp on this program.
Well, thank you, and it means a lot coming from you. And I tell a lot of guys like yourself, an old coach, and the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because of guys like you. So, you play a little bit of a role in this as well. But like I said, our fans are so important to us, and athletics at Lucas is so important. And it stinks that we can't have everybody here. I hate it that my family's not here. I hate that my kids aren't here watching. That's how I grew up in a gym watching athletics, and that they're at home having to watch it on the computer stinks. But it is what it is. It's the world we live in, and you just got to make it special for the kids that are playing right now, because this is all they got. And we lost it last year. We lost it for a week this year. So we're just trying to preach, nothing's promised. Go out, have fun, enjoy it. And like I say, it's fun to play like that and win and just enjoy high school basketball, because that's what it's about right there. I mean, we could have won the other night and we wouldn't have felt good about it because it wasn't us and it wasn't how we play. So it stinks. I wish we had everybody here. I wish it was a packed house. I wish we were, celebrating with everybody and doing it. But it is what it is, and that's a pretty good night. And I hope everybody got to see it at home and knows that that's Lucas basketball. The other night was just a blip on the screen, and hopefully we don't see that team, because that's the team that I know right there.
Congratulations, buddy, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it.
All right, if you can give your headset back to Coach Collins there, we'll get some final comments as we wrap this one up. The Lucas Cubs getting that first win, 72-28. And I tell you what, as I told Coach, I mean, this place is quiet right now, but I know, given what I have seen in the past here, this school really gets behind. And in a lot of schools, you can say that about a lot of schools, not just here. Everybody wishes this year was different, but we're all here, and we got to play this out, and we got to see what happens.
And these kids, they play so hard. And when you're in the community like Lucas, you want to see your kids just giving great effort, great intensity, great hustle, and that's what Coach has them doing right now. Obviously, they did it last year. They're going to be successful. They lost their first game. They look very good tonight. There's no question that they're trending in an upward fashion.
With the win, Lucas is now 1-1, and Galion drops to 0-5. The final score tonight, Lucas 72 and Galion 28. Our thanks to tonight's broadcast team. Our producer was Adam Thompson, and the fine camera work courtesy of Mason Neese and Blake Phelps. But most of all, our thanks to you for joining us. Once again, the final score, Lucas 72 and Galion 28. You've been watching high school basketball live and free on the OH.Report, powered by BS Media Productions. Thanks again to our generous sponsors for making all of this possible. Keep it locked into the OH.Report, your new home for live sports coverage in North Central Ohio and beyond. For Greg Collins, I'm Brian Harder. So long from Lucas.